By the way, just before we came on, I totally forgot to tell you. We are one episode away from this being perfect timing. This could have been episode Ocho Cinco, but it's not. It's
wow.
Ocho Cuatro. I'm sure that's not how you say 84 in Spanish.
I don't think so.
But it's 84. But how cool would that have been if this had been Ocho Cinco?
That would have been
episode
awesome.
85. It would have been very timely.
We're on 84, huh?
But it's not. It's 84. Yep.
Wow. So 85 will be at Worlds. So we do 85 live at Worlds.
I cannot believe you were saying that. Like, I was wondering if I should bring my camera. The only thing I was wondering, like I was thinking, how cool would it be if I could bring this camera that I use, that's sort of higher quality, and plug a couple of microphones into my computer, and then just have you and I sit like with the court, or maybe even on the court, because there's many times where the court.
We can tell people if they want to come and be a crowd or whatever. We can actually have a live.
Oh man, that's a great idea. I don't know how we would get, because I've got my microphone obviously that I can take with me, and just use the single cord to plug in. I don't know how I could split it, because my computer's
we could do it somewhere in the HQ. I mean, there's got to be smart enough people around us somewhere. Trey's around. I mean, the whole staff will be there. So maybe there's some people smart enough to help us out with that.
I hate to bring all this stuff, but since I'm driving up, obviously it's a quick drive for us. So since I'm driving up, I guess I could throw my camera and the tripod in the back, because that would be awesome, especially to have, if anybody wanted to come and watch.
Yeah, I think it'd be awesome. And we get, there'll be people there. Yeah, we should try.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll bring my stuff.
Well, we need to talk to Rosie and see how that works, right? For the whole getting it on air thing.
Yeah. Because Mish, after we were talking about, jeez, my hair's a mess. Sorry. After we were talking about going live, apparently it's well, I guess we could do it maybe on YouTube or something like that. Sounds like Facebook is kind of off limits. It's just like Facebook, the ACL Facebook page is just pretty much reserved for popular people. And,
I don't know, man. I think they might let us do it. I think they might
since it's from Worlds. Yeah, they might let us do it.
I think they might let us do it.
You have to meet certain standards if you're going to be live on the ACL.
I hear you. I think we'll have to talk to Trey and get his feel.
Okay, I'll bring the camera.
Yeah, I bring it all, and I'll reach out to him. We've got that big call that we're supposed to be on, I think, next week anyway, next Monday.
Oh yeah, I just got that email. Okay.
So maybe we'll talk to him. I'll send him a message on Slack, see what he thinks.
It's so funny. It made me almost a little bit sad or nostalgic, I guess. I saw the I was going through Trey's Twitter account just today, just to see over the last couple of days. I've had family in town the last couple of days just to see if I missed anything, and saw a tweet by Trey, and it said something to the effect of, "And with that, the regular season of 2023 is now in the books."
Isn't that crazy?
It really is, isn't it? Like
it's crazy.
It was so much fun, and I think back to my worries in the off season, as everyone knows, about just watching a crappy block game, and it was the complete opposite of that. It's been so much fun to follow. It's been so much fun to watch, and getting to know the players even more, and watching the younger players grow up. Meet all kinds of new people, and now we're starting to work towards sponsorships with our show and with the league, and just to see it grow. And it seems like we waited so long for that first national, and once that first national came, it's been a blur.
Constant.
It's been so much fun, and now just like that, it's over, except for Worlds, and obviously Spencer McKenzie's. But like Trey said, with that, the regular season comes to an end. It's kind of sad.
But the thing is, with our sport, it doesn't last very long, right? I mean, for us. You and I, we kind of miss out the first third of the season.
Yeah, we do, because all the opens.
Yeah, I mean, I might go to a couple of college stops every year, and kind of help out with that. But for the most part, fall is off for us, except for this show and whatever else we kind of do this way. But yeah, it's weird, man. It felt like it flew by. It felt like it took forever, like you were saying. And then once it started in April for us. I mean, it just doesn't seem, if you really think about it, it wasn't that long ago, even though it feels like it was a year ago.
Yeah.
that we were in Corpus Christi.
I know.
But yeah, I mean, I started thinking about stuff like I joined the ACL in 2018, January
Corpus Christi
2018.
does seem like a long time ago.
Doesn't
You're
it?
right. Yeah, it does.
You know,
Wow.
and I joined ACL in 2018, January. That's a long time ago, 5.5 years.
Yeah.
And it feels like it's flown by.
That's funny. I was just thinking like the same thing. Like I'm kind of right behind you guys because I started in 2020. This is obviously 2023. So I've been thinking in my head that, I've been with the league for 3 years. It's not. This is my 4th season.
Yeah.
Doing play-by-play for the ACL.
It's nuts.
I'm not too far behind you guys. I mean, next year will be, as long as they'll have me back. Next year will be the 5th season, with Trey and now with Anthony.
That's crazy, man. It's crazy how fast that time has flown.
5 years.
What's crazier to me is how the game has changed.
I know, right?
I mean, it's a completely different game now than it was in 2018. I mean, completely different. The bet. I mean,
you've seen it more than I. I mean, I've seen the growth obviously since COVID, which is huge. But yeah, you guys go back to even before that. I mean, I mean, the differences between 2018 and now have got to be monumental.
And what's cool is some of the players that are still around, right? Like there are a few that were great then that are great now. There are some that were great then that have just kind of said, you know what, I really can't keep up anymore. They've kind of bowed out. And then there's some others that are kind of hanging on, but then with all these new classes, it seems like every season, this new group of players and how much younger and younger and younger everyone's gotten. I'm telling you, 2018, it was a middle-aged man's game.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, there were some young kids that were great, but it was nothing like it is now. And now, I mean, you get to the age of 25, you're salty. You're an old man in this game now at 25.
I know.
It's crazy.
I know, like some of these players, like a Jamie Graham that we talk about, right? And he's only what, 25?
Yeah,
no,
24,
Wooten is what, mid to late 20s. I mean, it seems like they've been around for so long.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Ryan Windsor. I feel like we've been talking about Ryan Windsor forever. I think he's 26. And it seems like, and sometimes it seems like he's old on the court. Ryan Smith. It seems like he's an old man on the court sometimes.
Yeah. I talked to Damon Dennis a little bit about it before.
Now, he is an old man on the court.
Yeah. And talked to him a little bit about it before they went and played. And he's like, we know. He's like, we know it's coming. We know who all the talented kids are. And we're trying, in typical Damon Dennis fashion, right? Like, it's like, dude, you're still pretty good, Damon.
He is.
It hasn't left you behind yet, right? But I think they feel it. I think he and Jimmy, they feel this tide, this youth movement. They feel it, but they're kind of like, hey, this old style still works if we do it well.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, it's true. Yeah. Yeah. Put a pin in that. Put a pin in what you just said for our discussions later. Quick pull back the curtain here as far as family stuff goes. And we don't really talk family too much, but just a little Meet Jeff and Bernie segment. Okay. I had my sister in town with her daughter over the last couple of days, and it was so great. I mean, I told you before we came on, I'm just tired. I feel like we've had so much family with all the graduations, with two of the girls, either college graduation or high school graduation. So we've been busy with all kinds of family stuff, and my sister couldn't make it. So for Noelle's graduation, so she decided to come down this past 4 days or so. And you know how it is with family. I mean, you just feel responsible, and you just want them to have a good time and show them around. So I'm tired, but we had a blast. I mean, we checked a lot of boxes. But so my sister and her husband, so my sister Jeannie and her husband Dan, huge shout out to them and their family. Their daughter, who they brought, is type 1 diabetic. And I just want to say how proud I am of her and her cute little family. For those of you out there who have type 1 diabetes, we have no idea what it's like. I mean, it literally, Bernie, even with all the technology they have right now, there's all kinds of Bluetooth technology to monitor glucose levels and everything, whether they're going up or going down. It is such, to be with her and to see what she has to go through and see what her daughter goes through. She's only, I think she's going into 7th grade. Wow. And so to deal with that, it's literally, it's a forever thing. It's something that she will always deal with, and it's literally minute by minute. They do have alarms in case they're quickly going up or quickly going down, but it's something that they have to check nonstop. So here we are, we take our lives, and you and I have talked about this before. We take our lives for granted, right? We take our health for granted. We fly to Canton, we fly to Milwaukee, we fly out to Detroit, we're going to California, we're going up to Charlotte. We just go, right? No big deal. Right. But for people who have different disabilities or have different health concerns, whatever, she's got to carry a back. Here she is going to 7th grade. She's got to carry a fanny pack with her. It's kind of a backpack fanny pack thing with her
Yeah.
that has all everything that she needs. Dexicom, all that kind of stuff, and it's always there. 24/7, but it never slowed us down. We did all the Charleston things, right? We did the market, we did the aquarium, we went out to the beach, we went out to eat, and it's pretty cool how that technology has come. But just quick, I just wanted to give my sister a shout out. We don't talk about family much, but I'm just proud of her for being such a good mom, and for little Kaylee for being such a trooper, because you don't realize until you live it what these people live with day by day.
Yeah, it's tough, man. The thing is, I feel bad for you in a way, because Charleston, there's so much to see and do, and it's small enough that you feel like you have to do it. You know what I mean? So when someone comes in, a friend or family, like, oh, it's like you feel like you have to take them here, 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 and here. Like Atlanta, for example, is so big. It's like, well, it's so big, you kind of have to choose one or two things.
Right.
Where Charleston, it's like, we can do all this. We can go out to the beaches. Which beaches did you go to, by the way?
We just went to Folly.
You went to Folly?
Yeah, I mean, it's just 10, 12 minutes away. So.
Yeah, that's where the locals go, man. We went out to
a brand new pier. It's so funny because the Folly Beach had that wooden pier for years, and every time we get a storm, it gets damaged, right, or gets taken out.
Right.
So it's like the city of Folly Beach in Charleston County finally said, we've had enough.
We are
done with this, and they went total concrete all the way out to the water, like I don't know how many feet, 1,000 feet, 900 feet. It maybe even longer.
Wow.
It's like 1,500 feet, just flat concrete, huge concrete pillars into the floor of the ocean there. I mean, it was done right. So
I haven't been out to Folly Beach.
It's nice.
I haven't been to Folly Beach, man, since the 90s.
Yeah,
it's been a long time since I've been.
It's pretty much the same. The only sad thing is I don't want to get into it, but just because of all the storms and weather and everything, the beach.
There's no beach on the one side. Yeah, right.
There's no beach at high tide. So, but they're changing that. They're about ready to put something like $27 million, something like that, into a beach revitalization deal. So it's gonna be better. But speaking of weather, so that is the thing. Like I tell people this all the time. There is a difference, and I will argue with anyone about this, between heat, dry heat, and wet heat, right? And the humidity. Our humidity levels here are insane. And I tell people that, like Misha and I get into it, and Misha's like, wow, it's 100 degrees here today, 105. Like when it gets up to 117, 150, I get it. That's hot, right?
Yeah.
But the humidity just kills you. And I feel so bad because when my family comes here, you really see it. Like as soon as they get off the plane and walk out of the airport, they're like, oh, okay. Yeah. Like we can't breathe.
It's different. People don't get look.
It's brutal. It's really hard for them. Like we had to stay inside a lot because and that's the problem. We live at the beach, right? And then when people come from Iowa or Ohio or Michigan or whatever, they don't want to go to the beach because it's too damn hot. They can't breathe.
Right. Yeah, it's funny talking to people from out west where it's a lot drier. I get it. 110, super hot. Don't want any part of it.
You and I golfed in it. It's brutal.
We golfed at 105.
Yep, brutal.
Right. I mean, it's hot, but 95 and humid in the southeast will sit on you. I mean, it is unbearable.
It's gross.
It's crazy, the difference. Yeah. I'm with you.
One more thing. We always have all these travel issues, right? I mean, sometimes we don't. But when you travel as much as we do, you're going to run into things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we had an issue that I'd never heard of before. So we're trying to come back from Canton. And I'm with David Harris and Miranda Coy, are both on our original flight. We're supposed to leave at 8:45, so we get there at the airport around 7. And anyway, so we're just kind of sitting there, and I'm like, I'm just going to look out and see if there's a plane at the gate. And because I've learned that's a big deal, right? As much as we travel, it's like you got to have a plane. You got to make sure that there's a plane there at the gate. And you can tell, right? Like at a certain point, if you're not seeing the plane, there's gonna be trouble, right? Yep. So I go down there about 7:30, 7:45. There's no plane, but at this point we don't leave till 8:45. So I'm like, that's okay. It's probably coming maybe from Charlotte. I mean, they do down and backs all the time.
Yeah, that's what they do. Yeah,
right. So no plane. So I'm like, that's all right. So then I go and I check again at about 8. Right, still no plane. Now I'm starting to worry. And now all of a sudden it's about 8:10, 8:15. I check again, still no plane. The problem is that everyone's so nice in Ohio. It's such a cute little tiny airport, right? And no one's saying anything. I'm like, am I the only person here who has a connection? Like, is everyone on my flight like just going to Charlotte to vacation or to live?
Yeah.
So I'm like, no one seems to be panicking. So I finally asked the lady, I'm like, I just happen to notice that there's no plane out there and we're supposed to leave in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, are we still getting out of here on time? Oh, they're having trouble getting it out of the hangar. I'm like, okay. So sure enough, it's 8:30, 8:40. They finally make an announcement, and everyone's like, attention, please, to everyone in the American or whatever gate. And all of a sudden, everyone's like, oh yeah, that's right. We're supposed to leave here soon. And so they tell us we're not going to leave until 10. So David and Miranda and I decided to go get something to eat because they got a little breakfast place in the airport there. And all of a sudden we get pinged, and now we're not going to leave until 3. So all 3 of us had to scramble and get on flights coming back, and it was a mess.
American Airlines.
But to not get a plane out of the hangar, that one I'd never heard of before.
American Airlines, man.
Yep, never heard of
that. That I will miss about Atlanta. Apparently Delta does fly into Wilmington, but American Airlines is for the birds. And I don't care if I do offend somebody from American. It is not good enough. They do not do a good enough job. You're not good enough.
I've had issues and successes with both, unfortunately. So
I mean, I've had a couple of delays, but not like big delays, like 30-minute delays, and that's it with Delta.
Yeah, I always seem to have problems coming back. So it's always fine getting there, which is good. I'll take that. Need to get there for work, obviously, but coming home has always been
the few times that I've flown American, it's always been an issue. I had to change airlines a couple of times when we went to Corpus Christi early in the year. I had to ditch the whole American thing. I had to get on another airline. Couldn't get there.
Oh, that's right.
That I just not good enough. American Airlines, you're not good.
What about that? Yeah, you had all kinds of issues.
Yeah. And they do. Those routes go back and forth, by the way. And on Delta, you can actually look it up on your phone. You can look at the app, and it'll tell you, that's basically the routes. So if it's from Atlanta to Detroit, that plane does that all day.
Yeah.
So you can see where it is, and if it's missing, storms or whatever, and it's getting kind of pushed behind. But if it's stuck in a hangar, that sounds like to me there wasn't staff. And that's been a huge issue post-COVID. They don't really tell you that, is they don't have the pilots and they don't have the staff to run the flights, but yet they're still going to sell the tickets.
Yeah, and the big thing too, like David and I were talking about, like if you knew that you weren't going to get the hangar out, if you knew the staff wasn't there, like you knew the plane had to leave at 8:45. It's not sneaking up on anybody. Right. They know every day it goes to Charlotte at 8:45. It's not like they just made up this flight. Every day this happens. So if you know that's not going to happen, like before we all get out of our beds and get ready and get packed and get to the airport, how about just a little heads up? Like, hey, it ain't happening.
Right. Because they know they'll have to give a certain amount of refunds. That people will go use another airline to get out because they have to get out on that day. Yeah, it's American, not good enough. Just not good enough. They are shady. Don't like them.
All right, so enough about my problems. So for those who don't know, so obviously, we used to have a lot of guests, and we've decided to just talk.
Yeah,
we're just not doing guests anymore. No, I'm just kidding. We will have guests. But so we decided to kind of pivot on the show and just kind of give our thoughts and come up with topics. So something to do in sports talk radio, the good ones anyway. The guys that we listen to that we talk about. Yeah. They basically sit down and whether it's a daily show or whatever, they sit down at the beginning of the day and talk about different topics they want to talk about and what they feel passionately about. So Bernie and I do the same thing. So Bernie will text me throughout the week, some topics or things that he wants to talk about. So you had a couple that were interesting this week that I've got to ask you about.
I don't even recall. It was late at night. I don't even recall when it just kind of came to me and I started. Yeah.
So a couple of them. One was happiness. You wanted to talk about happiness, and then the other one was the sweet spot. Like, do you remember texting me this at all?
I do.
And what were these things? I mean, there were some other things in there also.
Here's the problem with me, Jeff. It made perfect sense to me at that particular moment in time.
Yes. I know. I'm like, what the hell? Like,
let me see. Where is it?
That's right. If you don't have it, I've got a laundry.
No, I didn't have happiness in there. I did have the sweet spot.
Yeah, you texted me as part of
football season is happiness. Yes, football season.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I sent you. Football season, so we're coming up on that time, and for whatever reason, whatever's going on in my life, football season makes it better. I don't
Yes.
know. I don't know
Yeah.
why. Obviously, I love football, but everyone loves football. But I feel genuinely better when I see the first game kickoff. And we kind of talked about, well, hey, why doesn't USFL fill that void? I don't know. Maybe I'm just programmed, and fall's kind of my favorite season for, maybe I'm just programmed that that's only when football should be. But I just feel genuinely better during football season. And I can't give you an explanation because I love
totally
basketball
agree.
just as much. I do. I love basketball, but I don't have the same feeling. Maybe it's because winter can kind of drag and, clouds, whatever. But yeah.
I feel like I have more energy. I have something to look forward to. I literally, when football season is done, I feel like, and this is going to sound stupid, but I do feel like there is a small part of me that goes into a little bit of depression. It's
Yes.
like, wait a second,
100%.
like it's been my security blanket for the last 4 months,
Yeah.
and now someone has ripped it away from me, and what the hell am I going to do without it?
Yeah. Now I've got a month and a half, 2 months maybe of college basketball, and then it's NBA if you're into the NBA, which I kind of lost a little bit of. And then it's a grind, man. I'm just not a huge baseball person. And I mean, baseball's great, don't get me wrong, but it's not the same visceral enjoyment that I have with football. And yeah.
I've got NASCAR. I mean, as I've told you, I'm kind of a closet, although I feel like I've come out of the closet.
I wouldn't say you're a closet NASCAR fan. I would say you're out. You're way out. Yeah.
Yeah. So that kind of helps me fill the void. But I'm with you. Like even Kathy the other day, maybe about a week ago, she's like, "Man, it'll be nice when football season's back." Just because for her, even though she doesn't really know a lot of the players and the teams, that kind of stuff, she likes to have it on in the background. She likes seeing me on the couch drinking a Bloody Mary, watching an Iowa game, watching a college football game.
Mm-hmm.
She likes the gathering of friends and the appetizers and that kind of stuff. It's kind of a social. I mean, she really enjoys just having the game on and what it means and what it stands for.
Well, let me ask you this. All right, so football to me is one of the only sport for me where I can watch, especially college football. I love both. I love college and pro, but I would say I lean a little more towards college as far as what I truly love.
Yeah.
I mean, I love pro football too, don't get me wrong, but college, like I can watch legitimately from noon on a Saturday to 1:30 in the morning, and I can watch games with teams that I don't care anything about and enjoy it and truly enjoy it. And I can't really do that with other sports.
Yeah.
Like I've got to have a vested interest if I'm watching basketball. I've got to, I've watched some other games, but usually it's because one of those teams is in the same conference and maybe a rival of my team. You know what I mean? Like there is a little bit of connection there. But with college football, hey, man, I'll watch Iowa and Minnesota throw down for a little while until it's like 3-3 in the fourth quarter. It's just like, what?
Yeah.
First down? Crazy. Yeah. But I love it. I love it. Catch some West Coast games late at night.
Yeah. Speaking of which, so random story. So our last night in Milwaukee, per your guys' suggestion, we went to Carnivore to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Nice little steakhouse. So we figured our last night, we didn't have anything the next day. So Kathy and I decided to go out and have a nice dinner. So we went out. We love to sit at the bar, right?
Yep,
I am so done at my age with sitting in stuffy dining areas with white tablecloths and it's just stiff. I hate it. I just hate it. So we go and we sit at the bar, and we saddle up next to the guy on the corner. He's wearing an Iowa Hawkeye shirt. Well, I promise I'll make the story short. And I said, all of a sudden I'm the guy from the Progressive commercial, right? I'm like, oh, Hawkeyes, go Hawks, whatever. And you know what I'm talking about with the Progressive commercial? Yep. He's like, Paris, oh, bonjour. That's me. I'm that guy. I get it from my dad. I can't help it. Anyway, so we strike up a conversation. Obviously, he's a Hawkeye fan. I grew up in Iowa City. We're talking about Iowa football, talking about great traditions, talking about the wave. His son is a cancer survivor.
Oh wow!
Who spent time up there in that wing that takes up the top 2 floors of the University of Iowa. The Children's Hospital.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, that they were the ones waving back. So
that's crazy.
Great guy. Yeah. Kind of a heavy story, but I mean, it means the world to those kids and to the family members up there when the whole stadium, 80,000 people, 76,000 people turn around and they all wave. And I'll still never forget one of the first times I went to a game after that was started. We were playing Ohio State back when Urban Meyer was there. And say what you want about Urban Meyer. I realize he's had his trouble. But Urban made every single one of his players get out there on the field and turn around and wave. So I mean, that was one of the first times I remember being there at a game. But he got all of his guys. I mean, he's doing this and telling all of his guys, get out here, get out here, get out here, and they all turned around. So it doesn't matter who you're rooting for, or who whether you're an Iowa fan or Michigan fan, whoever's there that day, just have everyone turn around.
Oh, it's one of the great traditions, and it started because when they finished that children's hospital, that ward was up at the top, and so that it would have probably been around longer had that children's hospital been that high longer, right? But once they finished those top floors, ever since then, that's one of the great traditions in college football. That's what I love about college football. It's filled with traditions. You're a Big Ten guy. It seems like every little matchup they play for some sort of jug or some sort of brown axe or
an axe.
So they're playing for something up there. Which is great.
A barrel.
Some sort of cracking open a barrel with a big brown axe. I mean, it's
so true. Yeah, it is so
Big
true.
Ten football. It's slow.
The Paul Bunyan Trophy, whatever. I mean,
it's slow, but we have axes. Yeah.
Oh my God, is it slow? It is slow. It's tough to watch sometimes. All right. So what's the sweet spot thing? Give me the sweet spot. Do you remember what the sweet spot?
I really don't. Looking back on it, I really don't. I think it had to do with you got the sweet spot on the board, and I wonder how many players.
So now we're getting into cornhole now.
Yeah, well, it's cornhole, and it's like every sport kind of has, but every sport kind of has it. Yeah, every sport kind of has it, right? I mean, every sport, like in tennis, there's a sweet spot. Golf, there's a sweet spot. Cornhole, there's a sweet spot. And I'm just curious, like talking to some of the players. Like, it's so different for all the players, like where they want to land the bag, what kind of angle they want to come in. Like, in some sports, in golf, it's a pretty small sweet spot in those clubs. I mean, some of the nicer clubs, are a little more forgiving than others, but the sweet spot is still a fairly small spot on a club. Same with tennis rackets nowadays have gotten huge, and it's just curious to me, like how different the sweet spots are in cornhole, like talking to different players, where they want to land the bag. And that's why I brought it up. It's just, like a Tony Smith's going to land it, like a Jimmy McGuffin's going to land it almost next to the hole. Yeah. Right. I mean, that's his sweet spot, even though it's a little bouncier up there. And then, Cheyenne Renner talking about she wants to land pretty much on the C in the ACL logo in the middle of the board. Right. And just other sports. Yeah. The sweet spot is just so important.
I mention on the broadcast all the time, for these players who have that awesome cut bag, there's obviously a spot on the board they need to hit. And I've made the reference, to other sports. It's like a guy throwing a slider. He's looking for a spot. I mean, when he rips off that slider, that curveball, he's throwing to a spot and letting the ball do the rest. Same thing with the bag. You're trying to hit that spot and cut it.
And I just think it's so, like, I think it makes cornhole very unique. Yeah. Because not everyone, like, there's a lot of people, especially the slide players, right? They're looking kind of around the middle of the board logo, right? They want to slide it up, but usually a little lower, the ones that really want to slide it, because they don't want it to hop. Because if you land it kind of in the upper middle part of the board, it's a little more hollow right there. And so the bag will hop a little bit. So the slide players want it down just a touch from that. But it's just interesting because I think it's so unique about the game of cornhole, because everyone's got a different spot they're looking for. The sweet spot isn't just one spot on the board.
Yeah,
and I think that's kind of different.
That's always amazed me because, and I do notice it from time to time, especially when we're in a game that goes 30 plus rounds and it's a couple of slide players. Sometimes that spot that they're hitting is all the way down the board. Like, I can't believe it. Like sometimes I'll just kind of tap Trey on the shoulder. I'll be like look where this bag is landing. Like, it's like literally
so
landing
close
at the bottom
to landing
of the
on
board.
The dead spot. Yeah,
and just slides all the way up. It's just, I just love watching that. It's just, I love it.
But yeah, so that's what I was thinking about when I wrote that. I do remember the haze of that 11:45 text.
Okay. There was another one too. Let's table this one for just a little bit about the diva celebrities, because that's going to be a part of my on, off, and in later on. So, all right, real quick. A little bit of cornhole stuff here. Ryan Hart, man, shout out, huge win against Devin Harbaugh. Sarah Cassidy, Miranda Coy, such a tough loss for Miranda. I think she's got one of the sweetest looking bags in the air, like in flight in the game. Big win by Sarah, and then by Jimmy McGuffin and Damon Dennis. So shout out to all of them. By the way, the money. That's a big like with Devin Harbaugh. We still keep waiting for him to get that first signature win, right? That first major title.
Right.
But I guess I didn't really realize the difference in money until this weekend when I was going over the results. That's a huge hit financially. It's $4,000 versus $500.
Yeah,
for winning that thing. That's a big deal.
The shootout is very different. It's made specifically for television, and it's all about the money, and it's all about the winner, right? You got to qualify, and then it's not spread. So it's really not spread at all. And so that's why some people don't like it. But it's like, look, you have to have something to play for to make the sport a little different. And it's made for TV. It's one of those. It's like the skins game when they created that for golf back in the 80s, something that kind of drives television differently because there was no Tiger Woods at that point, right? They had to, how can we create viewers? Well, let's make something specifically made for television and money. And we kind of did the same thing with the shootout series. But yeah, and Devin got to start winning some stuff, man. You're still one of the best players in the world. Talent for talent, there may not be, it's a really small discussion, and he's in it. But you got to start winning, at that level. And it's hard because that expectation is so difficult, right? I mean, like, it's tough because we're putting this expectation on Devin and a couple other players to win because I think they've put it on themselves, and their talent says you should be here. Like for Miranda, you talked about Miranda losing to Sarah. I think Miranda, some people got a little mad at me on the streaming network. I said, she is her own biggest fan. She needs to start winning some of these games. And what I mean by that, she is her own biggest fan, right? I mean, and I believe that when you look at her talent level, she should be one of the better female players.
She has such a good bag.
She should, but she's not. Now, she's very good. But when you start talking the elite of the female game, you're going to go through a few before you get to Miranda. And you probably shouldn't from a talent perspective. So she needs to start winning some of these things as well. And Devin has to start winning because he wins brackets. And look, when you have when you have a tournament to 21 and you've got, say, 6 brackets, 8 brackets, whatever it is, Devin seems like he's always winning a bracket, right? Or he's always in a bracket final. He's there. He's deep. It's not like he's, taken out early ever. He might lose first round and then come all the way back to the loser's bracket, but he's always there, right? But at some point, to kind of justify all the talk and to justify all the hype and to justify all the expectation, you got to win, right?
Right.
I mean, other people are doing it, right?
Yeah, and kudos to him too. I couldn't do it, Bernie. I was actually gonna talk to you about this. I had it written down. He still continues to be so positive. Like I saw him after that loss later that day, or maybe it was the next day, and he came up, fist bump, and asked me, how I was doing. I mean, he like nothing happened. I mean, he's just so positive, and he likes the way he's playing, and he's like, I'll just try again.
Yeah, I mean, he is playing well.
Frustrated if it were me. I just would be.
He is playing well because he's getting to these moments, right? He's just not performing at his best in those moments. But he continues to put himself there. And I think you and I discussed this maybe an episode back or 2 or 3, that I feel like, and I think you would agree with me, that once he wins something big, we'll probably see him win a lot of things.
Yep.
But
I wouldn't disagree. I mean,
it's just getting to that
Fisher
point.
Hamilton. Once Fisher finally got that big win at a national, I feel that's helped him so much. Yeah, you got to learn how to win.
And I feel like Devin's going through that, and it's kind of like, all right, so when they talk about college basketball coaches, and here we go making another analogy, but getting to the Final Four is almost as impressive as winning the national championship to a lot of coaches and to how you're perceived as a program.
That's how they're judged. Yeah.
Right. If you can make a Final Four, yes, someone won the national title, but those 4 teams get remembered. Right. Yeah. And I feel like Devin's kind of that guy. He's that basketball program that just keeps making a ton of Final Fours, but can't seem to win it. Right? You look up, and another Final Four, but they can't seem to win.
Yeah.
And I wonder if, hopefully for him, he finds a way to kind of get that monkey off his back and, start winning something. Because for his talent level, especially when he's on top of his game, I mean, it's a real short discussion of players that can play at that level.
Yeah, such a great guy too. And again, he's always so positive and shocking start to that. He got aggressive right off the bat, and I think within a blink of an eye, he was down like 6-0, and then eight to
Yeah,
two or
he
nine
forced it a little bit.
nothing.
You
I
could
can't
see.
remember.
Yeah,
He
he
did.
took
He
some.
went he went aggressive early, and it
He did.
it definitely cost him.
Yeah.
Um, so here's another thing I wanted to talk to you about. Are you good? I can't remember. I'm sure we talked about this last year. Some people like to talk about this, some don't. I kind of want to talk about Justin Burton Jr. real quick, but are you good discussing your MVP ballot and breakout player of the year? Like I'm totally comfortable. Like I will tell anyone who asks me who I vote for. I have, by the way, I have not. I haven't even gotten a ballot yet, but
I haven't either. I
I'm sure we'll probably start getting them.
I mean, I know who mine's
Monday.
going to be.
Yeah, I went in last week. I mean, I'll just be transparent with you. I went in last week, and what did I say? I really felt like, and by the way, I'm not sure what we're supposed to. I think the beauty of this, I've talked to Trey about it in the past, is that we can all kind of determine whatever criteria we want to make our final vote, right, for the breakout player and rookie of the year and MVP. And for me, it's probably a little bit different. Like for me, I do weigh shootouts in that.
Sure.
And for me, going into this past weekend, I think I said on the show last week, I wanted to see one more win out of Justin Burton Jr. I felt like for some reason, I felt like I needed to see one more win out of him, and we didn't get it this weekend. Did in doubles at the Open,
Yep.
but didn't get another big, signature singles win in a shootout. And I really was hoping that maybe we would see that this past weekend. And I
It's
don't
so
know.
tough. It's so tough for me because breakout player and rookie of the year seems like they could be the same thing this year with Fisher and Justin Burton Jr. Right? I mean, they're both kind of each.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're both rookies.
Yep.
And I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess breakout player could be someone like a Ryan Hart, but once again, you're talking about there's players that have climbed the ladder within a division. I mean, I think
Jake Gore's got to be in that
a
discussion,
Jake
right?
Gore, a Jacob Trzynski has to be in that discussion. Where people that have just climbed through a division that is so stacked and have found ways to climb through. I think a breakout player would be a Hunter Thorne has to be in that conversation. Someone that was kind of mired in somewhat.
I think there are better choices.
I'm just saying, but to me, the breakout player, like this is what I mean. Like a breakout player is someone that was kind of mired in the middle and has found a way to climb through all that talent. I don't know.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Yep.
I don't know if I mean I guess Jake does fall in that because he was kind of mired in the middle a little bit last year, but wasn't able to play a lot. Still not able to play a lot in the shootouts, so that kind of hurts him in that regard. But I mean, he's a top 10 player in the world,
right?
So that I guess if you really break it down, he probably has to be that player.
Yeah.
Or he's in a very short discussion on that.
Yeah, I've really been trending towards Mark, obviously, and towards Tony, right? And Fisher and Caleb. I mean, they're right there also, right?
Yeah, Caleb Batson's a perfect example of someone that was kind of not down, but a little bit lower in the pro division. The pro division gets even tougher, and he finds a way to blast himself into the top 5. I mean, if that doesn't define a breakout performance, I don't know what does. But yeah.
I've felt myself going into last weekend kind of leaning towards Mark and Tony for my MVP, but if I could have just seen one more signature win out of Justin Burton Jr., I think that would have made my decision even harder than it already is. I think for some reason I just wanted to see one more and just didn't get it this weekend. But that being said, I really enjoyed watching him play. I love to me, Justin Burton Jr. You know what it is? I was thinking about it after I left. I probably think about cornhole way too much. It's probably unhealthy, to be honest with you. I'm like, why do I like watching Justin Burton Jr. play? Because after the Celebrity Pro-Am, he was there, and I walked up to him, and I'm like, dude, I told he and Logan both. I'm like, I love watching you guys play. I mean, there are a lot of players like watching play, and I'm like, why do I say that? Why do I like that? You know what it is? He looks athletic. When Justin Burton Jr. plays, he looks, to me, in my opinion, like an athlete. And I love that. I love watching him play. Now, that's the positive. The negative, and this is just geeking out on cornhole, I think something he needs to improve on, and I saw it again last weekend, his block. He's got to be just a little bit, and I get it. A lot of people debate that it's the most difficult shot
I think it
in
has to be.
cornhole.
Yeah.
If he just needs to be a little bit more, because I see the wheels turning and I see what he's trying to do, but a lot of times, like if he's on the outside arm and he's got to try and lay that block on the left side lane, sometimes it just gets a little wonky on him. It just goes to the right. If he can get just a little bit, to perfect that block just a little bit more, I'm telling you, he is going to be unstoppable because he can collect with the best of them.
Yeah.
I mean, he does crazy things with the bags. He's just got to be a little bit more accurate on that block. But again, on the positive, he looks like an athlete to me when he's playing, and I love that. I love it.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Especially his release looks good. The way his body
Yes.
movement, even though it's still. By the way,
He looks like
it just came into my head. I have to give you props on something. I get bored sometimes, and in background talking about college football, and I hate to take this tangent because we're into this cornhole thing. I flip on YouTube and I put on craziest plays of the year, and I just see what came up, and I just clicked on it. It had that Coastal Carolina play where the player jumped the guy for the touchdown late in the game, and that's your call. And I was like, oh, listen to Jeff. There's Jeff's call. It was great.
Oh
so
my
anyway,
gosh, I screamed. I screamed like I was 12 years old. Could not believe that I had just witnessed that. I mean, he literally leapt like 5 feet into the air.
Yeah, it was impressive. But yeah, I was like, oh my God, that is Jeff's call. Because I wasn't like it was in the background and I wasn't really paying attention, but I was like, is that Jeff? And I looked up and it was Coastal. Yeah, so that was awesome. Anyway,
and it ended up being for the win.
Yeah,
too. I mean,
that's right.
That's made it great. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, back to Justin. He does have a good look to him. He does have an athletic look, even though he doesn't move much. There is an athleticism there. There's a smoothness to how he delivers the bag that I like.
I think so.
All
right, dude. We are.
Are we running late? Yeah, we're
man. I mean, if we want to get to on, off, and in, and
sure,
top 10, or we can save our top 10 for next week.
Nah, might as well hit one before we go, and then.
All right, you want to do? Did you do on, off, and in this week?
I did.
You want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay. Have at it.
In the hole.
All right. Do we need to tell people again? I mean, for people, we've only been doing this for 3 or 4 weeks. For many weeks, we were trying to decide, because there's so many things that we talk about where we're right on the money, right? I mean, there are things that we talk about. You mentioned you've been doing this since 2018. I'm now in my 4th season, so there are certain things we see, then we're right. However, on the flip side, there's a lot of things that we say, a lot of things that we see, a lot of things we predict, where we're like, wow, yeah, totally missed on that. So we have this new segment. We've been trying to figure out for months what to call this thing. So we finally came up with this name, on, off, and in. So on the board is something that we feel like we're tracking correct on. Off the board is something we totally missed, and in the hole is something that we just freaking nailed. So there you go. All right.
There you go. All right, my in the hole, and I know people are going to say, well, it's Cheyenne Bubenheimer. And people are going to say, what? That's obvious. She's always been the best. She hasn't always been the best female player. And in 2020, during COVID, I said that girl, and she was younger, and she wasn't, she may have been ranked that time 4th or 5th in the women's division if you really kind of broke it down that way. I was like, that girl's the best player in the women's division. And people are like, who? It's like that young girl, Cheyenne from Florida. She's just watch her play. It looks easier for her than it does for everyone else. And once she gets confidence, I was right on that. Now, I thought that she would stay in the top 20. She's 29th right now, which is still pretty impressive with the level of talent. A big run at Worlds, maybe get her into the top 20. I think anyone in the top 20 is elite of the elite.
Wait, right? Cheyenne is only 29th?
Yes, in pro singles. And
she's in pro singles. Okay, I was thinking of women's standings.
No, she's the highest rated female in the pro singles division.
Gotcha. Yeah.
All right, so on the board, and we just talked about him a little bit ago, for me is Devin Harbaugh. Beginning of the season, we did some power rankings, and I had him number 1 in my power ranking. I just thought we talked about how his mental game had gotten so much better, and I just felt like we were going to see something different from Devin this season. I thought personally at that time that Devin would be having the type of season Mark Richards is having. I thought, just because of his sheer talent and his new way of thinking about the game, that he was going to have that. So is he still a top 10 player? Yes. So is he winning? Is he winning brackets and nationals? Yes. Is he making finals and television? Yes. But he hasn't quite broken through. So that's more on the board. He's there, but he's not there. So that's my more on the board. And my more off the board is Jake Gore. I think I undersold Jake Gore at the beginning of the season, and I actually thought his brother was the better of the two, Jackson. And I was wrong.
You probably weren't alone.
And
Matter of fact, I know you
dead
weren't
wrong.
alone.
Yeah, I just dead. Well, I know other people had said it too. They won't admit it now, but I was dead wrong.
Everyone knew Jake was going to be great, but they probably thought Jackson would be the first one to reach that.
Yeah,
high
exactly.
mark. Yep.
Exactly. So I was off the board there. The kid's the real deal.
Oh my gosh, he is. Yep. I can't. And he's another one. I just love watching him play. Part of it is because he's so young, obviously, and competing at such a high level. So there's intrigue with that. But he's fun to watch play. All right, here we go.
Hit me.
So my again, on, off, and in. Mm-hmm. So my first one, and again, this may not be very popular, right? With again, people with whatever who are making decisions, but my on the board for me anyway is Super Bowl. My thoughts have been that there are too many events, too many Super Bowl events. I feel like 8 events. And you and I talked about this earlier this season. Mm-hmm. I just feel like 8 has been too many. I feel like it's watered down what could be an incredible event. Are there talks to maybe change that next year? Maybe. You know more than I do about that. I just feel like 8 has been way too many. And my whole wish, I mean, if I was the one pressing all the buttons, I would have one huge Super Bowl annual thing, right? Yeah. I would have one Super Bowl, just football players at the Super Bowl, bring in 16 football players, bring in 12, 10, 8, however many you want to do. Just make one big, huge standalone Super Bowl event the week of the Super Bowl. I just think that'd be great. And on the other side, I'd like to do a celebrity one where we do a celebrity pro-am, and it's just celebrities, right? And maybe it's a few athletes as well, but it's just celebrities, and we do that as a standalone event. Maybe we do it at the 4th of July, and again, 16 players, 12, 10, however many Marlin can get, whatever's manageable, and just have one big celebrity pro-am event. And I just feel like, and then everything else is serious, right? Everything else, shootout, cornhole, nationals, world championships, teams, right? I mean, we have plenty of that. But for 2 times a year, let's just really have some fun. Make it a big standalone event. And the reason why I think I'm on the board with this, and most people probably saw this, golf has got it right. The American Century Pro-Am at Lake Tahoe. Look at it. Once a year, they bring in the celebs, and what happens? Steph Curry hits this hole-in-one. He ends up winning it. It's great. Everyone's watching. The ratings are great. It's amazing, right?
Yep.
And it's once a year, and it's fun to watch. It's not sticky. It doesn't get watered down. It's a huge event. So I just feel like, again, in my opinion, I feel like I'm on the board with that one. 8's too many. 8's too many. And with that, we're not even going to get a chance to talk about what you want to talk about because we're going to run out of time with the celebrity issue this past weekend. But anyway, so that's my on the board. My off the board, it's going to be same name you just brought up, but I'm off the board on this, Cheyenne Bubenheim. And, in my defense, the league just doesn't have the resources, the money right now for a sports information director. So sometimes things, happen that we don't hear. I don't have the ability to check 256 Facebook pages and Instagram pages. I don't have the, time to go through Trey Ryder's all of his social media accounts. I just don't, that's impossible. So sometimes things are going to happen, that we don't hear. So anyway, huge miss. Cheyenne Bubenheim, she won. You can say whatever you want. You can say the women's division isn't as strong as the pro singles, whatever. Cheyenne Bubenheim won the Grand Slam this year. She won all 4 nationals in women's singles. I think that is huge. I don't care what sport. I don't care, that it's not, the women's division is as strong as the pro singles. I get it. She won the Grand Slam. She won all 4 damn national titles. I didn't even know about it. Didn't even know about it until this past weekend. So again, miss on my part. Sorry, Cheyenne. I want to give you your props now because that is huge. So congratulations for winning the Grand Slam and women's all 4 nationals. And then finally, oh man, yeah, we're gonna run out of time again. My in the hole shootouts. I love pro shootouts. I don't care what anybody says. Yeah, I love the format. I love the 10 rounds. I love that there's 8. I love that there's automatic qualifiers. I love that it's single elimination. It's just, it just gives me that feeling of the NCAA tournament. I love that. I love that it's $300,000. Next year it'll probably be more. I absolutely love the shootouts. I've loved it since the first day I talked to Stacy about it. I love everything about it. And yeah, so that's my in the hole. And with that, we got 20 seconds left.
So no top 10s. So we will save top 10s for next week then.
Yeah, it'll be good. Save our top 10 going into World
It
Series.
really wasn't much different. The only thing I will say, Ryan Hart, I did slide you into my number 8 slot, which is my fun, funky slot. Welcome to it. I threw you in my 8 slot. Other than that, it's the same names. So
yeah. All right, dude. We'll see you next week.
All right, buddy.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching as always. Bye.